Welcome to UOIT's Teaching and Learning Center's tutorial on effective questioning using virtual clickers, which is Turning Point and Responseware. This is one screencast in a series of tutorials designed to help you use Turning Point in your classroom by demonstrating how you can create interactive PowerPoint slides to poll your students. Designing questions for your students, whether you use virtual clickers or not, is not an easy task. There are many pedagogically sound practices that will help you engage your students while in class. You will be able to start meaningful discussions, focus your students' attention on the topic at hand, find out what your students have retained, create new learning, stimulate higher order thinking, foster critical thinking, and most importantly, know that you've met your learning outcomes. Use questions to stimulate discussion. If you want to ensure that you have full classroom participation, try using random name card selection. You can also roll dice to determine who should answer the question. Be sure to give your students time to think out their answer. Ask questions that require facts about an issue. The distribution of answers will give you insight into whether your students have grasped the broader concepts. So what level of knowledge exists within your class? Put your students into groups and create a competition between the groups. By collaborating on the answer, members of the groups will garner a deeper understanding. And there's times when you simply want to know if the class has grasped a single concept. By asking directed questions, you can examine the distribution of answers to know whether you can move forward with the next concept or whether you need to spend more time on the current topic. An excellent method of creating a discussion within the class is to ask opinion questions. Be prepared in advance as to what some of the opinions might be so that you know how to direct the conversation that ensues. When introducing a new topic or concept, ask an icebreaker or a transfer-in question. An icebreaker question is not directly related to the topic, but it puts the group in a collaborative frame of mind. A transfer-in question is directly related to the topic and can provide an excellent introduction to a concept. Sometimes you just want to find out information about your class. Students can also learn something about their classmates. As a rule of thumb, at least 10 to 15 minutes of a 50-minute class should be devoted to effective questioning. This allows for active learning to take place in the classroom. Research literature has shown that students need to be involved in their own learning. They need to read, write, listen, work in groups, as well as relate the learning to their own experiences and apply it to their own life. You can prompt active learning by incorporating effective questioning into your class time. In 1956, Benjamin Bloom created his taxonomy of levels of learning, starting from lower order thinking skills through to higher order thinking skills. His taxonomy of knowledge to comprehension to application to analysis to synthesis and to evaluation has been reclassified as of 2001 to use verbs that define the 6 levels. Each level should be carefully considered as you create questions that you will ask your class. Do you want them to remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, or create? If you want your class to simply recall facts, your question should be phrased at the remember level of the taxonomy. Active verbs such as list, name, identify, define, show, label, match, tell, etc. should drive your questions. Multiple choice questioning lends itself well to this level of learning. To move the level of learning up one level to understanding, you can use verbs such as summarize, associate, describe, discuss, list, identify, distinguish, differentiate, report, and conclude to drive your questions. At this level, students are able to rephrase concepts into their own words. Once the concepts are recalled and understood, you can move your questioning to the level of apply. Questions of this type could be seen at a first-year undergraduate course using verbs such as demonstrate, examine, apply, choose, complete, modify, experiment, relate, and calculate. Students should be able to take new, learned information and apply it to situations, calculations, and scenarios. As you move into the realm of higher order thinking skills, your questions start to build into more complex entities. You could start to incorporate multiple choice questions designed to analyze a situation or scenario. Verbs like compare, arrange, order, separate, explain, characterize, contrast, distinguish, outline, classify, these all represent learning at this level. You would expect your students to be able to break information into smaller pieces to see how it all fits together. At the evaluate level, students begin to pull information from different sources together in order to form an opinion or make recommendations. Opinion questions lend themselves to this level of learning. Rich discussion can take place in the classroom by virtue of a well-placed opinion question. Use verbs such as compare, judge, plan, compose, construct, develop, combine, and recommend to drive your questions. At the highest level of thinking, students create new learning by pulling together information from different places. Your questions need to elicit opinions and move from abstract to concrete concepts. Driving questions would start with verbs like invent, design, prepare, assess, decide, measure, convince, select, support, conclude, appraise, argue, predict, and create. A technique of good questioning is called scaffolding. By starting questions at a lower order of thinking skills and building to a higher order, you can move students through the learning curve of a concept or information. Of course, you also get feedback on how many have grasped the concept by evaluating the distribution of answers you receive. Consider assigning a reading ahead of class and asking questions to guide the discussion of the reading. By asking for anonymous feedback, you can generate participation from those who might be hesitant to be vocal in class. You can also avoid the few students in your class who are always willing to answer questions and who sometimes monopolize the discussions. Try asking a question at the beginning of a class, show the results to the class, and then have small groups discuss the answers. Once the discussion is over, ask the question again to see the deeper level of understanding. There are many websites that you can go to for more help on virtual clickers or on effective questioning. These are just some of them, and some of the references that have been used for this particular presentation. This concludes our tutorial on effective questioning with Turning Point and ResponseWare. Thank you for viewing.